You may have heard of Zermatt, Switzerland, the Matterhorn, the 6th largest winter resort in the world according to Ski Magazine, operating exclusively on electric vehicles for decades, glaciers seemingly everywhere you look. The option to take a train all the way to the summit from town. If you come here to ski or board, what should you expect in terms of terrain? Well, let's break down the mountain layout and cover some tips to help you figure out where to stay. First, if you fly there, you'll likely go to Geneva or Zurich, where you can connect from either airport to Zermatt by train with at least one transfer. If you drive from the airport, 2 things. First, you have to take a car train between Rialp and Oberwald. But watch out, the traffic can get backed up on Saturday afternoons, so get there early. Second, you have to park your car at Tosh and train it for the last 20 minutes. Air pollution takes long to escape the Zermatt Valley, so only battery-powered vehicles are allowed. Everyone has to arrive by train and then take an electric taxi or walk to their accommodations. So how should we approach the terrain? Zermatt's big. It helps to think about it in 4 sections. The right side of the trail map, which we'll call Glacier Paradise, the middle, or Gornergrat, and the left, which we'll call the Sunnegga side. Then, if you pan out with those 3 areas comprising Zermatt itself, you have what we'll call the Italian side, which is technically not Zermatt, but the Italian resort of Cervino, which is connected to Zermatt and on a separate lift ticket.
Okay, looking at the mountain in real life, up here is Glacier Paradise, and this is all the Glacier Paradise side. Italy is on the other side of the ridge, and even over here, underneath the Matterhorn, is Staffelau. That's all the Glacier Paradise side. Then if you pan over to the right, which would be panning left on the trail map, you have Gornergrat in the center. And then over here to the right, which is actually the left side of the trail map, is the Sunnegga side.
So, Glacier Paradise. The Matterhorn Express gondola is the most direct way up. It's long, 30 minutes if you can believe that, with 4 mid-stations, ultimately ending at Steg. But you know what? You're not done yet. From there, you can take the escalator down and jump on the Matterhorn Glacier Paradise cable car, just a few years old with seating for 24 in each car. And then you're off, shuttled over glaciers, if you're brave enough to look down, to the highest point in Europe accessible by cable car, 3,883 meters. Then you literally follow the light at the end of the tunnel, where you ski or board a glacier back down. But on the way, you can take the elevator up and climb the stairs to the observation deck. Yeah, this does not look like North America. So what's an intermediate slope like up here? Let's sample slope number 72 off the Fergsittel chairlift from Steg. Top of the lift, staying to the skier's right. It's always groomed and a great warm-up first thing in the morning. If you hit it when no one else is around, you can sneak in some nice, long, high-speed turns. It levels out as you go, so beginners can get some exposure to initial steepness and then settle into more comfortable terrain. And to the right is the Zermatt Snow Park with multiple jumps, rails, boxes, and even a banked turn course. If you want a buffet-style lunch, you should target the Steg cafeteria, which has some pretty fancy desserts for a ski resort. Otherwise, the restaurants on the mountain are mainly table service. Descending from Steg, you'll find what's typical for the Glacier Paradise side, more groomed intermediate to advanced intermediate slopes. But if you jump off to the side of the groomed slopes, you can find some slightly more challenging terrain, a little more free and unconstrained. Not quite baller expert level, but when the snow's right, a lot of fun. You can occasionally find steeps, and up at the top, when the snow is right, some slopes on the glacier are perfect for beginners. You can find the famous Zermatt sign in front of the Matterhorn for your IG photos by the Schwarze gondola station. And then there's Hennu Stall, beneath the Furry mid-station, offering après-ski on the slope before you get down to the base at the end of the day.
This is on the slope. So they're basically encouraging people to drink and ski. I don't know if they have any statistics on whether there are any accidents that have occurred. I just kind of funny that this is really still on the slope.
And hey, boarders, if you hit Hennu Stall, be aware that the base is pretty flat. So if you want to avoid that, you might skip Hennu Stall and take the gondola back down from the Furry mid-station. And once you're at the base, you'll have to take a bus or taxi back to your accommodations, unless you're staying nearby. So where should you stay? Each section of the mountain has one way up. The Matterhorn Express gondola for Glacier Paradise, the funicular for Sunnegga, and the Gornergrat Railway for Gornergrat. Zermatt is large enough that if you don't stay in the vicinity of one of these lifts, you'll have to take a bus, a taxi, or a hotel shuttle at the beginning and the end of the day. There are people who walk, lugging their equipment everywhere. So decide whether that's your style or whether you prefer wheels, or like me, you prefer your walk to be a short one to the Matterhorn Express gondola, which is the furthest lift from the center of town.
The advantage of where I'm staying is that it's so close to the lift, but the disadvantage is that you have to walk to the main town. It only takes about 10-15 minutes. You get used to it very quickly. And you're not alone. There are plenty of other people who are walking to town.
Staying in the center of town has its advantages. The Bahnhofstrasse is the main drag, and it's lined with plenty of restaurants, posh hotels and apartment rentals, boutiques with the obligatory name brand winter clothing stores, bakeries and bars with more options of all that stuff around the corner, including Zermatt's 2 main grocery stores.
What? Crossing the Italian-Swiss border on skis with no need to go through customs or immigration?
That's right. When you venture over to the Italian side, all you do is head up on the Swiss side of the mountain and then ski your board right down into Italy. Obviously less of a thing now than in the past, but still cool nonetheless. The biggest obstacle is whether the border is even open. It depends on weather and snow conditions. Your Zermatt lift ticket doesn't cover Italy, and that includes the Icon Pass. So you'll have to buy an add-on ticket the day of. If the border's closed, they won't sell the add-on.
Italy's open, so let's go!
Access to Italy is from the Glacier Paradise side of Zermatt, up at the top, crossing the border into Cervino.
Once you get down to the border, you come over this ridge right here, and now you're in Italy, skiing on this slope. It's over a glacier. You can see exposed ice there and here.
A bit steep for beginners and maybe even some intermediates, but once you pass that stretch, it's smooth sailing. Welcome to long, meandering highways. Probably the best terrain in the combined resorts if you're a beginner, intermediate, or just love cruising. Cervino has 18 lifts, though it's slightly behind Zermatt in modernization, so there are a couple of older, slower chairlifts. But who cares when you can enjoy all the Italian coffee you want?
I don't drink coffee, and I've never had an espresso, but I'm going to go try it here for the first time.
And while you're under the Italian sun, you might as well enjoy some Italian food for lunch, right?
I went to the Salette restaurant, which is the top of the Salette lift, and it had some penne al ragu. It was really good.
But you didn't come all the way to Switzerland just for intermediate terrain, right? Enter Sunnegga. Left side of the trail map, steeps, trees. This is what you've been waiting for.
Sunnegga does seem to have a lot of nice opportunity for tree skiing. Take a look at this. And maybe you don't want to come down there, but people have certainly come down over here. And you want to check over there all the way to the right. That looks like some good stuff.
Want more? The Haftali tram. Exposed rock. Open terrain. Signs that warn you in multiple languages. Tram operators who warn you in multiple languages.
Respectez les autres. Nous n'avons pas de problème. Danke. Und bitte sehr. Information, as you can see on the sign on the other side of me.
We kind of came down in through here and over here.
The most direct way to Sunnegga is via the funicular, a train on a diagonal that takes you up from the base through a tunnel inside the mountain, sending 698 meters in 4.5 minutes. If you're staying near the Matterhorn Express gondola, you can take a bus to the funicular, or alternatively, work your way over by skiing or boarding and taking forward lifts. It'll take a while, but at least you're on the mountain rather than a bus.
Have you ever taken a train up a mountain to ski? Well, let's explore the Gornergrat area of Zermatt.
Outside of Cervino, Zermatt's best option for intermediates might be Gornergrat. Nice rolling slopes that tend not to get too steep. A great place for beginners to practice and get better. But if you're heading to the left of the trail map over to Sunnegga, at that point the slopes do become steeper, so be aware of that. From town, the quickest way up is the Gornergrat train, which started running in 1898 and has 5 stops, ending at the Summit Observatory and a hotel, the highest altitude hotel in Europe. Plenty of pedestrians head up just to take in the views. If you're staying near the Matterhorn Express gondola like I was, you can either take a bus or a taxi, or like me,
You take that gondola up, the first stop, the ferry stop, you switch over to the Riffelberg Express gondola and take that all the way up to here, which is the second to last stop on the train up to Gornergrat. So just 2 more stops and you're up at Gornergrat. Riffelberg is kind of like the intermediate place between over at Fury Schwartzy and then Gornergrat. So it's kind of like the transition that you have to take to get between the two.
Riffelberg also gives you another on-mountain hotel option, the Rifle House.
As long as you stay to the right of the Gornergrat side, on the train or chairlift between the Riffelberg and the Gornergrat summit, you can cruise on relaxing beginner and intermediate slopes. There are no cars in Zermatt. That's because the town, which is right here, sits in a deep valley. Pollution can't escape. So instead what they have is a bunch of little electric vehicles. They're really kind of cool looking. You take that as a taxi. They deliver luggage and other sorts of things. Back in the day when I first came, I hate to say, they still had horse carriages. There were very few electric vehicles, but now those are predominant, and you can find a couple hotels that still have a horse just for nostalgic effect. Oh, and while you might romanticize the idea of Zermatt with horse carriages everywhere, let me tell you, it smelled. There was manure all over the streets. Chasing a beach.